Hi everyone. Let us discuss presentation. For better understanding of central limit theorem, it is very much required to know the concept of normal distribution. Normal distribution is a probability distribution that is symmetric about mean, showing that data near the mean are more frequent in occurrence than data far from the mean. It means when you take some data and plot the graph according to normal distribution, you can visualize the graph like this. The center is the mean value and the edges you can see here that shows how much the values are deviated from the mean, how much they are deviated in this direction and how much they are deviated in this direction. Here in this particular graph you can see two plots. One is blue in color and one is shown in dotted red line. If you see the blue color curve, it has a very high mean and the deviation is also very less. If you take the red dotted line graph, you can visualize that the mean value is less and there is more deviation towards the edges from the mean. So by plotting this normal distribution curve, you can have the information like how much there is a deviation and what is the mean value. The most important thing is it is used in many applications that we are going to discuss in the last. So you might have understand that the three important parameters are mean, variance and size. If you take more number of samples, the variance will be less. If you take less number of samples, there may be more variance. Let us discuss the central limit theorem and define the central limit theorem now. The central limit theorem states that if you have a population with mean mu and standard deviation sigma and take sufficiently large number of samples from the population, then the distribution of sample means will be approximately normally distributed. That is what we have discussed right now. And you can define the central limit theorem in simple terms like central limit theorem states that sampling distribution of the sample means approaches the normal distribution of the sample size as the sample size gets larger. Normal distribution can also be called as Gaussian distribution function. Okay, so the three different components of central limit theorem are mean, variance and size. In central limit theorem, we have two cases. One is unequal distribution and the second one is equal distributions. When you go with the unequal distribution, you can see here we have n random variables with mean and variance different for each. That is, x1 has a mean of x1 bar and sigma 1 square. x2 has a mean of x2 bar and sigma 2 square. That is, the mean and variances of random variables are different. They are unequally distributed. So what our central limit theorem states, the sum of these random variables x1, x2, x3 with the mean x1 bar, x2 bar and so on, and variance sigma x1 squared, sigma x2 squared, have a probability distribution function asymptotically approaching Gaussian distribution. That is, you have n random variables of different mean and variance. When you sum all these random variables, they take the shape of the Gaussian distribution. That is what the central limit theorem states. That is what the central limit theorem proved. Okay. And if you go with equal distribution, that means all random variables have same mean and same variance. If all the statistically independent random variables being summed are continuous and have the same distribution function and same density function, the central limit theorem is straightforward and it is Gaussian. You can see here we are taking n random variables x1, x2, x3 and so on up to xn, and we are assuming that they have same mean and variance. When we simplify and analyze them, you got the final expression like this, which is nothing but the Gaussian distribution function. Fine. So whether it is equal distribution or unequal distribution, if we add the random variables, finally it takes the shape of the Gaussian. The most important part of central limit theorem is where we can use that central limit theorem concept. See, you can use in income distribution in economy, stock market, IQ analysis of students, population means, hypothesis test, data science, machine learning, and in also communication and signal processing for modeling of Gaussian noise. For all these applications, you will collect some number of samples. If you draw the graph probability distribution function for all those samples, it will take the shape of a bell, which you can visualize here. That is, it takes the shape of Gaussian distribution. That is, it takes the shape of normal distribution. Here, you can see the mean value and how it is deviated towards the ends. See, from the mean value, it is spread towards this end, and from this mean value, it spread towards this end. Suppose, for better understanding, let us take the IQ analysis of students. So we took the IQ analysis of number of students. We took the IQ data of number of students and we plotted the Gaussian distribution curve. So when we plotted the Gaussian distribution curve, it shows that how many students have good IQ, and as the graph deviates from the mean value, it will see how many students are within the limits and how many students IQ levels are more deviated. The same analysis we can do for all the applications listed here. Now, you know that machine learning is a trending now. In machine learning, the central limit theorem has important applications. The theorem does inform the solution to linear algorithms such as linear regression. You know, in machine learning, linear regression is one of the important algorithms we generally use. In machine learning, what you will do? You will train one model. So to train the model, you will collect number of samples. From the samples you have collected, you will use some samples to train the model, and you will use some samples to test the model. Once the model is finalized, if you give some number of samples to the model, and if you plot the distribution function of that model, it takes the shape of the Gaussian. From the shape of the Gaussian, you can visualize whether there is more deviation or less deviation. If there is more deviation, that implies the model you have designed is not accurate. If there is a less deviation, it implies the model you have trained or developed is more accurate. Clear? Points to note. Whenever an observed random variable is known to be a sum of large number of random variables, according to central limit theorem, we can assume that the sum is Gaussian random variable. That is, you can confidently say if any function is the sum of large number of random variables, you can confidently say that is it takes the shape of a Gaussian. Moreover, central limit theorem guarantees only that the distribution of the sum of random variables become Gaussian, but it does not always guarantee that probability density function is Gaussian. Finally, for discrete random variables xi, the sum yn will also be discrete. So, its density function will contain impulses and is therefore not Gaussian. That is, please understand, in case of discrete random variables, it is not Gaussian. Density function is not Gaussian, but distribution function approaches Gaussian. You have two types of random variables, continuous random variable and discrete random variable. Generally for continuous random variable, it is Gaussian, but in case of discrete random variables, density function will not be Gaussian, but distribution function will be Gaussian. In case of continuous random variable, distribution function is Gaussian, but density function may or may not be Gaussian. That conclusions are very important. Hope you understand the concept of central limit theorem and its usage in various applications. Thank you.